He chose millions over the woman who carried his future. And that single decision destroyed everything.
When poverty knocked, he abandoned the woman who believed in him, chasing a life built on wealth instead of love.
The city never truly slept. As dawn painted the skyline in shades of gold, buses crowded the roads, traders arranged their stalls, mechanics opened their workshops, and office workers hurried through the streets with dreams bigger than their wallets. Every corner carried a story of hope, struggle, sacrifice, and survival. Among the thousands chasing tomorrow was David Okoro, a hardworking young man from a humble family. David had never feared poverty. He had grown up in a small rented apartment where electricity came and went without warning, where every meal was appreciated, and where his widowed mother reminded him every evening that a person's character was worth more than expensive clothes. "Your name is your greatest inheritance," she often said. Those words stayed with him for years. After university, reality hit harder than any examination ever had. Job applications disappeared into silence. Promises from influential people led nowhere. Months turned into years. Eventually, David accepted work at a small printing shop in the heart of the city. The pay barely covered rent, but he refused to give up. Every morning, he walked to work carrying hope in one hand and determination in the other. One rainy afternoon changed everything. While delivering printed documents to a nearby hospital, he accidentally bumped into a young woman whose shopping bag scattered across the pavement. "I'm so sorry," he quickly apologized as he bent to help gather her belongings. She smiled warmly instead of getting angry. "My fault too," she replied with kindness. Her name was Amara. She worked as a nurse. Unlike many people David had met, Amara never judged him for wearing inexpensive clothes or traveling by public transport. She admired his honesty. He admired her compassion. Their friendship grew naturally. Soon, evenings became long walks through neighborhood parks. Weekends became simple dates at roadside restaurants where one plate of food was enough for two smiling hearts. Neither of them had much money, yet they laughed as though they owned the city. Months later, David looked into Amara's eyes beneath the glow of streetlights. "I don't have riches," he admitted, "but I'll spend my whole life trying to give you happiness." Amara smiled. "You already do." Those simple words became the foundation of a love stronger than luxury. Together, they dreamed of opening a small business. They planned the names of future children. They imagined buying a modest house one day. Every dream was built slowly, honestly, and patiently. Life remained difficult. Rent increased. Food prices climbed. Unexpected medical bills entered their savings. Still, they refused to lose hope. Whenever David felt discouraged, Amara reminded him that storms never lasted forever. Unknown to them, life was quietly preparing a test neither of them could imagine. Far across the city, inside a towering glass office overlooking expensive neighborhoods, one powerful family was searching for someone very different. Someone they believed could fit perfectly into their plans. David had no idea that a single unexpected meeting would soon force him to choose between the woman who loved him with all her heart and a future filled with unimaginable wealth. He believed love was enough. He was about to discover how easily ambition could whisper louder than the heart, and that whisper would change every life connected to his forever. For the first time in many months, David woke before his alarm. The morning air drifted through the cracked window of his small apartment, carrying the sounds of traders arranging vegetables, buses honking impatiently, and children in neatly pressed uniforms walking to school. He stood by the window for a long moment, watching the city come alive. "This year will be different," he whispered to himself. It had to be. His landlord had already reminded him that the rent would soon be due. The printing shop where he worked had been losing customers as larger companies offered cheaper digital services. Even the shop owner admitted that he could not guarantee everyone's jobs for much longer. Still, David refused to surrender to hopelessness. After work that evening, he met Amara at their favorite roadside cafe. It wasn't a fancy place. The plastic chairs had faded under years of sunshine. The tables carried tiny scratches from countless customers. The owner knew them by name. As usual, they shared one meal instead of ordering two. Neither complained. Instead, they laughed over childhood memories and spoke about tomorrow as though it had already arrived. "I've been thinking," Amara said carefully. David smiled. "You always think." She laughed. "I mean seriously. Why don't we save every little extra money we have? Maybe in 2 years we can open our own business." "What kind of business?" "A small printing and design center." David stared at her. "That's exactly what I've always wanted." She nodded proudly. Then let's build it together. For several minutes neither of them spoke. They simply looked at the busy street filled with strangers chasing dreams of their own. David reached into his pocket and removed a tiny silver ring. It wasn't expensive. In fact, he had spent weeks saving to buy it. His hands trembled. Amara. She looked at him with surprise. I know I can't promise luxury. I don't have a mansion. I don't own expensive cars. But I promise I'll never stop fighting for us. He gently slipped the ring onto her finger. Will you marry me? Tears filled her eyes before she even answered. Yes. The cafe erupted with applause from people who had quietly watched the proposal. Even the elderly woman serving food wiped away a tear. For that brief moment, it seemed the entire city celebrated with them. Neither noticed the black luxury vehicle parked across the street. Inside sat a middle-aged businessman named Chief Richard Balogun. Beside him was his daughter, Vanessa. Vanessa had recently returned from overseas after completing her business education. She glanced through the tinted window. Who's that? Chief Balogun followed her gaze. Just another young couple. Vanessa watched David helping an elderly man cross the busy road after leaving the cafe. He seems different. Chief Balogun smiled faintly. Some people still carry honesty in a dishonest world. Neither David nor Amara realized they had just been noticed by one of the city's wealthiest families. It seemed like nothing, but destiny often entered quietly. A week later, David received an unexpected assignment. The printing shop had secured a contract to deliver promotional materials to Balogun Holdings, one of the largest property companies in the region. David ironed his only formal shirt before work. It has to make a good impression, his manager reminded him. Companies like this bring more contracts. David nodded confidently. When he arrived at the magnificent headquarters, he paused to admire the towering glass building. Employees moved confidently through elegant reception halls. Everything looked polished, professional, powerful. As David waited in reception, a sudden commotion echoed through the lobby. An elderly visitor stumbled while descending a staircase. Without hesitation, David rushed forward. He caught the man before he hit the marble floor. Several staff members hurried over. Sir, are you all right? The elderly gentleman smiled gratefully. Thanks to this young man, I am. Only then did David realize whom he had helped. It was Chief Richard Balogun himself. The reception staff exchanged shocked glances. Very few people had ever seen the company's owner without an entourage. Chief Balogun looked closely at David. What is your name? David Okoro, sir. And what do you do? I work at Sunrise Printing. Chief Balogun nodded thoughtfully. Interesting. Later that afternoon, David returned to the printing shop expecting an ordinary day. Instead, his manager rushed towards him excitedly. David. Yes, sir. You've been invited back to Balogun Holdings tomorrow. David looked confused. Did we make a mistake with the order? No. The manager smiled. The chairman specifically asked to see you. David spent the entire evening wondering why one of the richest businessmen in the city would request a meeting with an ordinary printing assistant. Amara squeezed his hand reassuringly. Whatever happens, just be yourself. I will. She smiled. That's the man I fell in love with. The next morning, David entered the company's executive office. Chief Balogun welcomed him warmly. I've made inquiries about you, the businessman said. David's heart raced. I hope I haven't done anything wrong. Quite the opposite. Chief Balogun folded his hands. People describe you as honest, hardworking, respectful, and trustworthy. David remained silent. I need someone like that. He slid a document across the polished desk. I want to offer you a management trainee position in my company. David stared at the contract in disbelief. The salary printed on the first page was nearly 6 times what he currently earned. His hands trembled. It felt impossible. One signature could transform his life. One opportunity could finally lift his family out of poverty. But neither David nor Chief Balogun knew that someone else had quietly entered the office. Standing outside the partially open door, unnoticed by both men, was Vanessa. She had overheard just enough to become curious about the young man her father had chosen. And that curiosity would soon become the beginning of a chain of decisions that none of them could ever undo. David left the headquarters of Balogun Holdings with the employment letter clutched tightly in his hands. The afternoon sun shone brightly over the city, yet everything around him felt like a dream. The crowded streets, the street vendors calling customers, the yellow buses weaving through traffic. Nothing seemed real. He stopped beneath a large mango tree outside the company gate and read the letter again. Management trainee. The salary was more money than he had ever imagined earning in a single month. His eyes became wet with gratitude. He looked toward the sky. "Thank you," he whispered. For years he had prayed for one opportunity. Not wealth, not fame, just one chance to prove himself. Perhaps this was it. That evening, David hurried to the small apartment where Amara lived. She opened the door before he could knock twice. One look at his face told her something extraordinary had happened. "What is it?" she asked with excitement. Instead of answering, David handed her the envelope. She carefully unfolded the letter. As she reached the salary section, her mouth slowly opened. "You got the job." David nodded. "I got it." Without hesitation, Amara threw her arms around him. They laughed. They cried. They thanked God together. For several minutes neither of them spoke. Sometimes joy needed no words. "We're finally moving forward," Amara whispered. David smiled. "Our future starts today." The following Monday marked David's first day at Balogun Holdings. Everything inside the company reflected excellence. The reception hall sparkled beneath elegant chandeliers. Employees walked confidently through polished corridors. Large digital screens displayed the company's latest construction projects across the country. David felt both nervous and inspired. He promised himself that he would never allow success to change who he was. During orientation, he met other graduate trainees. Some came from wealthy families. Others proudly mentioned relatives who already worked in government or business. David remained quiet. He had no influential surname, only determination. While many trainees spent lunch discussing luxury holidays and expensive watches, David sat alone reviewing company manuals. Learning mattered more than appearances. His quiet discipline did not go unnoticed. Several floors above, Vanessa Balogun watched the trainees through the glass wall of her office. As executive director of corporate strategy, she occasionally observed new recruits. Most tried too hard to impress. David did not. He simply worked. She found that unusual. Later that afternoon, she walked through the training department. Everyone immediately stood. David politely greeted her before returning to his assignment. He neither stared nor attempted to gain favor. That small act of professionalism caught her attention. Most people treated her differently because of her family's wealth. David treated her like any other executive. Respectfully. Nothing more. Weeks passed. David quickly earned a reputation for honesty. One afternoon, he discovered a serious accounting error that could have cost the company a major client. Instead of remaining silent, he reported it immediately. The mistake was corrected before any damage occurred. Chief Balogun personally thanked him. "Integrity cannot be taught," the chairman said. "It is chosen." Those words spread throughout the company. Soon senior managers began requesting David for important projects. His confidence grew. So did his responsibilities. Outside work, life also seemed brighter. David and Amara began saving every month. Instead of dreaming about opening a business one day, they started writing actual plans. They listed possible locations, estimated expenses, marketing ideas, future employees. Every evening they added another page to their notebook titled, "Our Future." Sometimes they laughed over impossible ideas. Sometimes they worried about unexpected expenses. But they always ended each discussion with hope. Meanwhile, Chief Balogun observed David carefully. The businessman had spent decades building his empire. He had seen talented employees lose themselves to greed. Others became arrogant after receiving promotions. David remained exactly the same. He still greeted security guards before entering the building. He still thanked cleaners. He still helped interns understand difficult tasks. Success had increased his income. It had not changed his character. Chief Balogun admired that. One evening, after an executive meeting, the chairman invited David into his office. "You've exceeded every expectation," he began. David smiled modestly. "I've simply done my job." Chief Balogun leaned back. "I'd like you to assist directly on one of our largest development projects." David almost couldn't believe what he was hearing. "It would be an honor, sir." The chairman nodded. "You'll be working closely with the executive team." David thanked him sincerely. As he left the office, Vanessa happened to be waiting outside. "Our project begins tomorrow," she said politely. David nodded. "I'll do my best." "I'm sure you will." For the first time, she noticed something unusual. His confidence came from preparation, not pride. The weeks that followed were demanding. Meetings stretched late into the evening. Construction site inspections filled entire weekends. Reports required endless revisions. Yet David never complained. Whenever others left early, he stayed until the work was complete. His dedication earned admiration across the company. It also meant he spent less time with Amara. She understood. Every evening she encouraged him. "This season won't last forever," she reminded him. "We're building our future." David always smiled gratefully. "I couldn't do this without you." She believed him completely. But while David remained focused on his career, unnoticed changes were quietly unfolding around him. Vanessa found herself asking about him more often. She noticed how employees respected him. She admired the calm way he solved problems. She appreciated that he never tried to impress her. For the first time in years, someone had entered her world without being attracted by her family's influence. She mistook that difference for something deeper. One afternoon, she asked the human resources manager a simple question. "Is David married?" The manager checked his records. "No." "Engaged?" "I don't believe so." Vanessa thanked him and returned to her office. She never realized that David had deliberately kept his private life separate from work. His engagement to Amara wasn't hidden. It simply wasn't something he discussed in the office. That small misunderstanding would soon grow into something much larger. Far away, in a modest apartment filled with hope, Amara carefully placed their notebook of dreams inside a drawer. She smiled as she touched the engagement ring on her finger. She believed nothing could separate them now. She had no way of knowing that success often attracts not only opportunities, but also difficult choices. And the greatest test of their love had only just begun.